I definitely wanted to open it up to the chat today. So any questions you guys have, whether or not you like are looking between two different TVs, any questions for 2024 TVs that I might be able to answer, things like that. And we can definitely get into that. Or if you guys want to talk about the videos from this week that I did. Yeah. So, yeah, Uneasy Rider in the house. What's up? How's it going? S90C Gen 2 panel for the win. 65 inch. That is definitely a win. Like, congrats on that. Let me know, can you guys change the stream to 4K? Am I streaming in 4K right now? Because this is also just like a test stream to make sure that our streams later on in the year, when we start to do TV streams, we're starting to have TVs on the screen. We want them to be in 4K this year. So that's definitely something I'm testing for. Let me know if you see any buffering. Yeah, let me know if there's anything wrong with the broadcast at all. So that's definitely something we're testing out. So let's make that a little bit bigger. I want to upgrade my A95K, but nobody wants to pay 2K for my 1-year-old TV. No money. Like what size is it? It's hard to sell a TV. That's definitely like one of the things that is really hard to do is to sell a TV. And Stage 1 says, is it worth upgrading from a S95B to a S90C 77-inch? I mean, like, if you want the size, it absolutely is. You're talking about, I'm imagining you got a 65-inch. Going from a 65-inch to a 77-inch is a huge deal, especially if you're sitting a little bit further away. Then you can put that S95B, say, in a bedroom or something. Or that's, typically what people would do if they upgrade their TV. They usually move their other TV to another room they watch in. If you have a scenario like that and you have the money, I absolutely do think it is worth it. I would go with the S89C 77-inch in this case because it's $17.99, which is a screaming deal. Like that deal is still available at Best Buy, so I like that a lot. Let's see what else we got in the house. We got David. What's up? How you doing? I need to be able to see chat better here. All right, here we go. Got J.R. Fraser announced. He said, I'm still loving my S89C. I can't find any bugs or issues yet. Looking forward to the G4 and X95M impressions. Yeah, like that's definitely on my list this year. Probably the most excited I am for a mini LED TV in a while is that Sony. Hopefully that comes out, whether or not it's called the X95M or the 100M, we'll see. But I'm definitely excited. Wow, this is a big upgrade. You want to upgrade your 14-year-old 50-inch Panasonic Plasma, but it won't die on you. You don't need it to die. I mean, like, if you feel like you need a TV or you want a TV, you can always move that one to another room. And a 50-inch, you can always go 55-inch, 65-inch. You'll feel that upgrade in the size already. I know that most of the time when I'm looking at a plasma TV and I'm seeing somebody upgrade from a plasma to one of these newer TVs, it's like a night and day difference. The only thing that might throw you off is maybe the motion won't be as clear on sometimes. Like sometimes people really just love that plasma motion. So it is kind of hard to adjust from that, but everything else is just going to be way better. Like the image quality is way better than plasma right now. I'm surprised you don't have any issues at all with the plasma though. Like I know a lot of people have like big spots on their screen because of their plasmas and things like that. So yeah. Jamie, welcome. He says, I'm new here. Buying a new OLED in a couple of weeks, primarily for gaming, upgrading from the Q80T. Okay, that was pretty good TV. I want a 55 inch. I'm going between S90C, S95C, G3 65 inch. So that's what you narrowed it down to. So I really think that between those three TVs, unless you absolutely kind of want a lot of the things that are going to go along with the G3, like the mounting bracket and then the 5-year panel warranty, like if you're getting all of those things separately anyway, I like the G3. But if you're not, like the S90C is going to be very capable. And it's pretty much going to be almost the same TV as the S95C. So, and if you're looking at it for gaming, I like the S90C a lot for gaming. I think it is probably my top gaming TV because of the price you can get it at. Um, and then like I'm saying, if you can stretch it to the 77 inch right now, the S89C is $17.99, which is $200 more than the 65 inch S90C at $15.99. So it's a really good deal if you can go to 77 inch. But if you can't, $15.99 for the S90C is probably the best deal outside of that. Um, Again, G3, it's harder to justify unless you need those extra things. Like if you were always going to buy a panel warranty for 5 years anyway, and then you're also going to get a mounting bracket for your TV. It's nice that all of those things are included with the G3. So when you have that value with the G3 already, that's nice. But if you have to buy a stand for the G3, or if you're going to um, buy it in certain places where they offer a stand for free, that's nice. But sometimes, like when you buy the G3, you don't get the stand for free. So always look to see if you are going to get a G3 if you're getting the stand for free for sure. But I would say a S90C is just like the best deal. Same thing with the S89C. It's one of those things where that is something that is hard to beat if we're talking about deals and values. Um, if you're not a fan of Samsung, I think the G3 is the way to go for sure for gaming. But the game mode definitely does have some issues, which I detailed kind of in my last video. And then I made another video a couple weeks back where I actually showed a lot of the problems there. So yep. You have a Sony A8H for movies. Yeah, that's a good TV. I don't know why this keeps getting bigger. SB Digital says my S89C has exceeded all my expectations. A phenomenal experience so far. Movies and gaming have been a blast for the whole family. Yeah, it's just an incredible deal, honestly. Like the reason why a lot of people keep talking about it, the reason why I keep talking about it, it really is like the deal of the century right now. Like I personally haven't seen a deal better than that in the last couple of years. And since I've been doing this, I haven't seen a deal that good. Rarely do you see 77-inch OLEDs, especially of this quality, go on sale. So yeah, that's why everybody's talking about it. That's why I just keep talking about it. I'm like a parrot about the S89C because it is that good of a deal. Lynette says looking to upgrade from a 65-inch X900F, want QD OLED or mini LED. I don't game using a Nvidia Shield. Yeah, I think like I prefer QD OLED over mini LED personally. There's not too many advantages at the moment for mini LED other than, you don't have to worry about long-term screen burning, but you really only have to worry about that is if you have static logos from your channels on the screen all the time that you watch. Like say maybe you watch a lot of CNN and you just keep it on CNN all day. Not a lot of people do that, but there is some people that do that. So those people I suggest not getting an OLED to. But if you have any other use case but that, you should be fine in regards to burn-in. So it comes down to, the room that you're in. A brighter room typically can be better with the mini LED just because the screen coating on it does have a little bit more anti-reflective properties a lot of times. The QD OLEDs in general right now, when light hits it, it can be a little bit lifted in the blacks, but That's rare unless you have a light hitting directly on the screen, so that shouldn't be a problem. And if we're talking about mini LED versus QD OLED, which one gets brighter? In most scenes, the QD OLED will get brighter than the mini LED. The only exception to that is going to be like the really, really bright scenes with like a beach, sun, just a very well lit daylight scene. That you'll see the mini LED can get a little bit brighter, but everything else, um, the mini LED will struggle to keep up with the QD OLED in terms of brightness. It's what I saw um, when I compared them. So hopefully that helps you out. If you have any other questions regarding it, I'd be happy to answer. So Alan Wallace says, do you think the A95L will still remain the best QD OLED overall twice in 1 year? So I think it's possible. Certainly because of the processing that helps a lot. And it really depends on how much we see from the new QD OLEDs, right? Like if the third generation panel is pushed to the degree where you can get HDR highlights close to like 3000 nits, you might be talking about a real big competition on your hands there. Um, it's something that remains to be seen whether or not they'll be able to push that panel. Um, Last year, the second generation, the first generation, yeah, there's a difference, but looking at a S95B, for example, next to a S95C was not like a night and day difference. So I struggle to think that there's going to be a night and day difference with third generation to second generation because I don't know that they're actually going to be able to utilize all the brightness that the panel is capable of. And even then, it is going to be very rare to get 3000 nit highlights. Of course, you have tone mapping, so that'll help. If you have brightness capability from the TV, it's possible that the A95L can be like knocked off, but I still think it could repeat. It's definitely possible. It's a good question. Um, and then Sabrina says, I'm struggling to decide between a G3 77-inch and an 83-inch A80L. I want the best picture quality, and my main use case is watching movies and TV shows and some gaming. So there's two big different factors here regarding these TVs. The G3 77-inch has the MLA technology, which is going to allow it to get brighter. It is significantly brighter than, say, the A80L 83-inch. You will notice a brightness difference, say, if they were side by side. In most regular content, though, they will be around the same brightness levels. So if you're somebody who watches at more of a kind of like reference level, or you use filmmaker mode a lot, you plan to use custom mode a lot, they will typically be around the same brightness levels most of the time. Um, if you're trying to really push your TV, the G3 is definitely more capable. A80L will have better processing. Typically, though, 83-inch panels aren't as clean as, say, the 77-inch OLED panels. So there is that. And that's just regarding screen uniformity. Screen uniformity is kind of a panel lottery most of the time anyway. But 83 inches is definitely a little bit riskier. I would say it really just depends on the type of person you are, what you look for with your content. Are you trying to watch at certain brightness levels? Are you somebody who really likes a lot of picture pop? You drive your brightness, you use the contrast enhancer features, things like that. I think you'd favor the G3 in that case. If you're somebody who's more along the lines of you just kind of want it how the director's intent is supposed to be, I think you'd definitely prefer the A80L a little bit more in that sense. So it really is depending on what you're looking for. And then also screen size factors into it too, right? Do you need the 83-inch size? Like how far are you sitting? You also want to factor that in. I think, once you're starting to get like 12 feet distance, we can start talking about 83 for sure over a 77-inch. Like even 10 feet, like I'd be starting to think about a 83-inch at that level. But they're both good. You can't go wrong with either. And you said you do only a little bit of gaming, so they're both good in that regard, where like just have a little bit of gaming on the side, and they're both really good for movies and TV shows. Um, but the A80L will have the better processing in that regard. So if you watch more of a lot of like streaming services, maybe you watch a little older shows, 1080p, things like that, it will clean it up a lot better than the G3 will. Less artifacts and things like that too. But yeah, hopefully that helps you out. If you got any more questions, just let me know. Um, yeah, let's talk about. I do want to talk about a couple of news topics regarding TVs as well. As I go through the questions, since we're on this topic, we can talk about Amazon, dumping Dolby Vision in terms of their paid ads. So if you want the ads to go away and you want Dolby Vision, you have to pay like $3 more now. If not, you are not getting Dolby Vision, which isn't a big deal. That part's not a big deal. I think the bigger deal is like you're getting ads now. It sucks. Um, so like that's unfortunate that they're doing that. Like I think I'm gonna make a video talking about the downsides of a lot of the streaming services and the values that you get from some of them, because it's getting to the point where like we really need guides on this now, and we need to find ways to save money when it comes down to these streaming services, because like everything is combining now. It's almost like cable, and it's getting ridiculous. It's like we cut the cord, but for what, now we're getting even bigger bills because they just keep raising the stakes. Like Netflix is $20 a month now. Like I don't even subscribe to Netflix anymore because there's nothing on there that I want to watch. And when there is something like Outer Banks, when that comes back, I'll subscribe for like a month. I'll binge watch that and then I'll cut it because it's just getting ridiculous with some of these services. And that's a downside though. Amazon is cutting features. I don't think that you're gonna losing Dolby Vision is the end of the world though. I think it's more so about the ads. So it'd be interesting to see like if more companies end up following this route. It's a scary trend because once one company does it, more companies are going to do it. We already saw this with Netflix, restricting a lot of things, and we're going to keep seeing it more and more. And then the more mergers that happen, I think that's even bad too. So, yeah, it's a good topic though. I do also want to talk about Walmart. Walmart is thinking about buying Vizio for $2 billion. That's an interesting thing too. So I definitely want to talk about that a little bit later. I promise to bring that up. If I don't bring it up, tell me in chat because I do want to talk about that. That's an interesting deal that might happen. David says no complaints with the S89C. SG says 77 inches is too small for my living room, so S89C is a no-go. Wow. You looking for a 100-inch TV then, or 83-inch? What you looking at? That's interesting. That's got to be a pretty nice size living room then. S90C is $11.99. G3 is $1,600. S95C is $1,300. Where I'm buying it from in the UK. That's interesting. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the S95C with gaming in mind, but it is a great TV. And if you like the One Connect box, for example, it could be good for you, like for your use case, for your everyday kind of convenience. I do kind of think there is a usage for having a separate box. You can store it away, hide it away. You don't have to always go in the back of your TV. If you're wall mounting, this is perfect. So the S95C could be on the table in this discussion for sure. And then the G3, that's a lot, not a lot more, but it is $300 more. Does come with the wall mount bracket, like we discussed. 5-year panel warranty. I like the value in the G3. So this is a tough decision. It feels like with all of them being so close, it does become closer now. Like, and you're talking movies and TV. I would look between the G3 and the S95. I would say whatever has the things you need the most out of that, go with that. Like I said, if you need that wall mount bracket, you want that 5-year panel warranty, go with the G3. But if you want the One Connect box and you don't plan on doing a lot of PC gaming, because it will have some dropouts, especially with PC gaming in mind. So do keep that in consideration just in case. That's a interesting price though. I think I'd probably go with the G3 or the S95C though. I have a Vizio P65E1. I want a 77-inch OLED. Always need to adjust color, contrast all the time. Want as close as best possible. Under 2500. What's your opinion? Thanks. I don't know if you're in the US. If you are in the US and you have a Best Buy near you, I really just love the S89C. And I will post it in chat also so you can see what I'm talking about. Absolutely love the S89C right now. That's a deal that 10 out of 10. You don't get a better deal than that right now. So it'll be a TV we talk about a lot because it is a quantum dot OLED, 77-inch for $17.99. You want a 77-inch OLED. I think that's just like the best one available right now and the best deal available right now. So absolutely 100% S89C on that one. So here it is, S89C. This is a link. This will link you to Best Buy. If you buy on this link, it will be an affiliate link. So if you buy from it, it will help out the channel. So I do greatly appreciate that if you guys end up buying that TV today or sometime this week. Please consider using that. But only if you're going to buy it, of course, don't even worry about it if not. Also, there is sometimes open box of that too, so could look into that. I want to catch up. We got Classy in the house. What's up, man? Hope you're doing good, dude. We got a super chat from a Burley Knoll. Thank you for the super chat. He says, let's throw that up there here. It says, coming from a Sony X95G 77-inch to a 2024 set, if I went LED, do you think it would be a noticeable upgrade? Or would I need to go bigger OLED to feel the upgrade? I can fit a 85-inch TV max. Yeah, I mean, I think you will feel the upgrade with either mini LED or OLED, and going from a 77 to an 85 will definitely feel great. So going the mini LED route would feel nice. I would have my eye on maybe that new mini LED from Sony this year. If it ends up being as good as what I saw at the prototype I absolutely think that would be really a great upgrade for you since you're already in that Sony ecosystem. You're used to a lot of Sony stuff. Going that route would be great. I also think going an 83-inch A80L might be a good decision. I'm a big fan of when you jump your TV up, regardless if it's old or semi-old or even just like from 2 years ago. If you jump up with your TV a size, then you'll just feel like it's more of an upgrade. Like it's kind of more of that satisfaction of like, hey, I just upgraded my TV and it feels bigger because it is bigger. It looks bigger, and then of course it's going to be brighter and all the things that go along with like upgrading your TV. It just feels better when it is a bigger model. So I think I would go the route of probably mini LED in your case, honestly. The 85-inch that's coming out might be the perfect route for you. But of course, if you don't want to wait and you need a really great bright TV and with awesome contrast levels, you can't go wrong with the S89C QD OLED, like the one that I linked earlier. That's good too. But maybe for you, that waiting for that mini LED, see what the reviews say on that. That might be the way to go. Oh, the live stream looks great in 4K. Thank you. So you're able to change it to 4K? If so, that's awesome, and I'm glad that's working. That'll be very nice later on. Um, S95D, except for the matte finish, is equal to the S95C. So the S95D actually might be a little bit brighter. Um, I got to see them side by side. It was something that I could see the 95D was brighter. I don't know if they're tuned differently at the event, but the S95D did look brighter than the S95C. So I think they might be using the third generation panel in the S95D. And if that's the case, then the S95D will be a brighter TV. But how much brighter is it worth it at the end of the day? I don't know. You know, like we've been discussing, the S89C is just too good of a deal to pass up for a lot of people, I think. Um, that's a good question. You know, which of the three brands is well known for the best quality control? Wow. I think that's a really tough question because you hear a lot of horror stories from all three brands. You know, quality control, what I look at with that is kind of parts and support, right? Um, I think Samsung is pretty decent in the regards of like support. They come through on some things. LG is pretty good at that too. Sony can be pretty good at that, but I've heard horror stories from all three. Now, when it comes to like firmware updates, we all know the shenanigans that happens with Samsung TVs. That's not a great thing. So, we also have some things where LG can kind of feel sort of intrusive with their updates, never really doing bad things to your picture quality often or anything like that. But let's say you just don't want to upgrade. It will just keep popping up that update every time you turn on the TV. That's kind of annoying. Um, but that's not really quality control, I guess. That would be more just like usage case, like you just everyday usage of the TV. What bothers me? Quality control is like parts and stuff, huh? So I just think the big three is the safest in that regard. I think Hisense and TCL, they have a lot of growing to do because typically they were known to be like the brand that something could go wrong. You know, it's not the safest brand to go with, but I think that is changing. I think Hisense and TCL are stepping it up to the level of getting closer to those big three. They're getting closer to them. Vizio is an absolute horror story in regards to that. Like we know that Vizio is, I don't know, struggling. Let's just say that. We will get on the topic of Walmart potentially buying them, and if that actually can do anything for Vizio, I actually think that might not do anything for Vizio either way. But yeah, we do need to definitely discuss that because it is going to be a huge deal if it does go down, and maybe shape the way that we look at TVs and the way that they advertise towards us in the future. Yeah, take for sure. SD like YouTube TV right now, if you just like get YouTube TV and you don't get streaming services, that might be enough entertainment for you. Honestly, a lot of the free viewed channels, like with that come with your TV, that might be enough entertainment for a lot of people too. I do think there is definitely people overpaying for content, like in regards to Netflix. Like, there's people that subscribe to all the streaming services, yet they don't have time to watch it all. So it's like, man, you're definitely wasting a lot. And cable TV isn't a great value typically, but they have been cutting the price a lot. They're trying to get you into cable. I like YouTube TV personally. I think YouTube TV has been probably the best thing that I use in regards to the closest thing to cable TV, but just feels so much modern and the quality is way better than any streaming that I've gotten from a cable service and any actual cable that I've gotten from a cable service, including DirecTV. DirecTV felt horrible compared to YouTube TV now. So Sabrina says around 8 to 9 feet. So the G3, the only concern is processing. So the processing on the G3 isn't horrible. Like when we talk about processing not being as good as Sony, it doesn't mean that the processing is bad. Like you can absolutely get by with the G3's processing. So it's not something where I would just dismiss a TV in regards to processing when we're talking about the G3 or even the S95C or the S90C. It's just not as good as Sony. So when you compare them to those two, sure you'll see a difference, but it's not huge. Like it's not going to be like this is the reason why you don't buy the G3. It can absolutely do the job in terms of processing. I do think maybe when it comes down to processing, we overanalyze a little bit, and I'm guilty of that because I do comparisons. But it's not like they're bad, you know. It's not like Samsung's bad. It's just not as good as Sony in that regard. So I think a lot of people would like the G3's processing. It's not terrible. I would say like when you get into again Hisense and TCL, I love their TVs, but that is an area where they need to work on is processing. So they're kind of babies in that area, where I think LG still has a decent processor. Samsung has a decent processor. You really won't get too many bad like artifacts or things that'll be anomalies in the picture quality like we've seen in the past from other brands, like I mentioned. That warranty means a lot, in my opinion. Yeah, that the warranty is actually pretty good to have peace of mind. I'm not gonna lie to you, the 5-year panel warranty can be nice. If I'm buying a 100-inch TV, for example, like if I'm buying a TCL 100-inch, if I'm buying a Hisense 100-inch, best believe I'm getting that panel warranty from like Best Buy or wherever I buy the panel, right? I'm getting some sort of warranty on that because we're starting to get to the point where it's like, I don't know if I could trust the TV to last 5 years. I really don't know if I can get like that much trust there. So, thank you for putting the question mark in front of the question. Yeah, if you guys have questions, doing that helps me see it like a lot. So that's nice. But I am able to see most people's questions, even if you don't do that. So don't worry if you don't do it. But thank you for following the directions. That's cool. He says, should I get an A95L or hold off for the G4? I think it doesn't hurt to wait. We're gonna see what the G4 is gonna do in a couple months, maybe even weeks, right? Like I'm thinking late March is where we start to see the G4 pop up. So why not wait at this point? It doesn't hurt to wait. If you're looking in that price bracket, absolutely just wait. Um, rumor has it A95L 77-inch availability may be opening up soon. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Um, yeah, I wonder what their plan is with the 77-inch. It's got to be coming though. And Classy, that's an interesting take. He said A95L could have had availability issues while they were transitioning to Gen 3 panels. Yeah, that's an interesting theory. I do think that is an interesting theory. Might just be a firmware difference between the S95C and S95D. Yeah, I don't know exactly what is different yet. Like, it's going to be interesting to see and play around with some Samsung 2024 TVs. There's always something, right? Like last year, 2023 TVs, that HDR tone mapping menu, that was new. That was nice to see. That was a good change. I'd love to see more stuff being added to settings. I think Samsung definitely could work on their settings a lot when it comes down to control. I feel like LG has more control. I feel like Sony has more control in terms of like what you can do with your picture quality. Like Sony is definitely probably the kings of that. You definitely have so much control in that regard. And LG, you have a lot more control than Samsung as well. So I would like to see more stuff being added to Samsung as far as control and things like that. Maybe like even a whole revamp of the menu system. It's been the same for a while now. Um, so it is kind of dated looking. I think what LG did last year, to give them props, I love the quick menu. Like I love the quick menu from LG. I think the quick menu is a really awesome UI and just an example of easy to use navigation that we would love to see going forward. That looks weird. In slow motion. I have my TV set to slow motion right now so that like all the demos play. But that definitely is too slow. Might have to speed that one up. Um let's see. LG has a history of changing Dolby Vision, trying to fix it, and for some reason can cause issues if they calibrate it before the update. Yeah, I remember you were saying that before. That's interesting. Does it mess with like just the Dolby Vision part of it, or does it mess with the whole entire calibration? Because that would suck if it just messed with everything. Um, so see the Sony X95L at Best Buy now. Yep, yep. That is that is interesting. I didn't even think about that. I thought for the fact like they were selling it before in Magnolia, but I guess this is brand new. 'Cause you're right. I don't remember seeing the X95L at Best Buy. It was only like on Sony and Value Electronics, of course, carried it, and like boutique stores like that. Um, no, why Siri just started like tripping out. Um, anyway, before I was interrupted. Let's see. Samsung Electronics probably has many Gen 2 left, and Display ended production of those before the new year, supposedly. Maybe that's why we see so many S89Cs. Like I thought for a fact, like I thought for sure that S89C would be sold out by now. Like that's just such a good deal. Like they must have a ton of that stuff. Because I know people have been buying it. It's been like if you go to like Best Buy's website, you can see it's like the best seller in that website. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. Let's see. The more expensive the TV is, the more reliable. True or false? That's in most regards, I think that's true. Because if you take the failure rate, say Samsung's cheapest TV versus their most expensive TV, it's probably going to be the like cheaper TV that fails more often than not. There's lemons in every category, but yeah, I think TVs you do get what you pay for because there's also like thresholds that you cross when we're talking about TV technology. You cross those thresholds, but I think you do also get better quality as you go up. But again, we have seen panels fail regardless of how good they are. So I think the room like the whole thing where it's like buying a TCL or a Hisense is always like gonna lead you to have more failures. I think that's false because I think if you buy any product for around that price, you probably have about the same failure rate. Like I'd imagine, say, some of Samsung's cheapest TVs or LG's cheapest TVs probably have around the same failure rate as, say, a Hisense or a TCL of that same. But we probably hear more about the failures from Samsung and LG because they're more popular. I really like what Ratings is doing with their longevity test, not just the burn-in side of things, but just showing how like products will break down over time with usage. It's a good insight um into the way that TVs operate after a while. But they are stress tests at the end of the day, so you do gotta remember that part. Definitely purchase Best Buy's 5-year warranty was only $387, peace of mind, and it does cover burn-in. Yeah, peace of mind, you can't beat it, right? Like, I think when you're spending a lot, insurance is always like, do I get it or do I not get it? And insurance feels like a waste if you don't use it. And that's just like any insurance in life. You're just glad when you have it. So I wish I kind of knew this like when I was working at Best Buy. I never really tried to get people to buy the insurance plan like I was supposed to. But like thinking back on it, it's like maybe I should have, because the more I think about it is like when I had the insurance plans for TVs, they worked out in my favor. So like I mentioned my story with the Q7FN, like started to see the spots on the bottom of the screen, wanted a replacement, got a gift card instead, got to keep the TV, and it worked out. It doesn't always work that way though. Sometimes your TV just won't break. So it's like one of those things where you have a warranty, like, come on, break. Uh, but yeah, no, I think it 5 years is a lot for a TV to ask for it to not to break. Can't trust Samsung about updates since the S95B disaster. S95B does bounce all over the place, and you know the effects of it are sometimes exaggerated, but there's definitely cases where yeah, it does drop the brightness a little bit. And I haven't tried the latest update, so I can't speak to that one. But I am on 1430 still. I like my S95B. I still think it is phenomenal TV. It compares really well to the S90C. It compares really well to the S95C. I'm curious. I maybe if I update it and when we get the S90D in, we'll compare it to that for sure, because we'll see like how much is it really? Like, is it really that big of a deal? Um, it sucks. Anytime your actual TV's brightness is affected in any way, or your colors or anything like that with an update, it sucks. Like nobody wants that. So I totally understand your stance on this, and I can't blame you for feeling that way. Um, anytime a company does that, it sucks. So the fact that we're talking about should you remove your TV from offline, that shouldn't ever be a discussion, right? Like we shouldn't ever have that conversation. Um, Updates aren't an issue if you leave the network disconnected and use an Apple TV or a Fire Stick. Yeah, and I think it's it's basic, right? Like yeah, that's basic advice, but it still sucks to tell somebody to do that because they're buying a TV, and one of the features of that TV is internet connectivity and the streaming that's available in the TV. Like that's part of their TV. And now you're asking them to just cut off a part of their TV and get something that is supposed to do what their TV does to replace it. It sucks to do. Like it's not something I like to suggest to people, but I am totally on board. This is what I do personally. I don't actually turn off my network though. I just let it stay connected and I just deny all the updates. I've never had an update forced on me that way. But I understand that other people use your TV and all it takes is one misclick and then boom, you get an update forced on you. So uh, going the route that Classy suggests is a really good idea if you're worried about updates. Sabrina, no worries. You can ask as many questions as you want. Between 77G3 and 77A80L, what would be the better option? Is the Sony dim? Price difference G3 300 more. I want a balance of brightness and good streaming. The A80L is not dim. It's just not as bright as the G3. So it depends on what you call dim. Like if you call like the typical brightness of an WOLED TV dim, maybe you will feel like, all right, it's not as bright as my other TV that I have, so it doesn't live up to my standards. It's dim by that degree. Maybe I guess you could say that, but I wouldn't call the A80L dim. I think it has really good HDR highlights. And I think it does the job just like a C3 would do the job in the same case, right? It's just not going to be on the same level as a MLA based OLED like the G3, for example. When you have MLA helping out, it does raise the brightness. It helps with colors. And then same thing QD OLED is. It's just going to be brighter and the color brightness is going to be better. So it's not one of those things where you're going to really feel the difference unless you have them side by side though. And it depends on what you're coming from. Like if you're coming from a very bright like mini LED TV for example, or any sort of full array local dimming system, if you're coming from something like that, it is typically bright, then going to something not as bright might feel bad. But I think the contrast is going to make up for it either way. Either way you go. So it really depends. Like I mentioned, the A80L will have better streaming because of the processing. You got the XR Clear, for example. But the G3 is not bad. It's definitely not bad. This is I know it might not be helping you make that decision, but if you really are after brightness and that's what you want, then the G3 would be the answer there. If you're not that concerned about the brightness, then the A80L will probably be a better option for most people in regards to streaming. But again, you can't beat the G3's brightness. You really can't. No 8K, no sale, especially for the price you are paying. What is that in regards to? I'm curious to know what you mean by that. Best Buy has been able to special order the X95L and QN95C in a Magnolia, if you called Magnolia location. Yeah, that would make sense. I know there was a lot of Magnolia exclusive TVs back in the day that just weren't on their website, so that makes sense. Micro Center even has the S90C front and center of their TV section, and they're selling a lot. You know what's funny is Kroger grocery stores actually have the S90C, and I was like so surprised by this because like literally their best TV is like maybe a Q80. I think their best TV before that was like a Q80 because they didn't have any other OLED TVs. And it's Kroger. Remember, this is a Kroger grocery store, the electronics section in a Kroger grocery store. Fred Meyer is the one I'm talking about where I'm at, but it could be King Soopers where you're at, or I don't even know. I don't know. They have so much control, right? Like I even think they might even be buying Safeway soon, which is wild. But yeah, like in a Kroger grocery store, an S90C, it looked 10 times better than all the TVs there. And like I said, I think the other TV that was better before that was the Q80. So that just gives you an understanding of like the quality of TVs there. Most of the stuff that's on their wall is like Vizio, like V series, and some of the TCL S series, the Hisense A series, and then you got just like an S90C in the middle of it, and it's like what? Okay, S90C is everywhere. It's wild because like Samsung didn't have their OLEDs anywhere. I rarely saw OLEDs anywhere. Period. But now you're starting to see it. Like Target has the LG C series. That's interesting. Got 84 people watching right now. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. If you're enjoying this stream so far, make sure you do hit that like button. It will help out the stream, spread it out to more people, help them ask questions, and yeah, get some answers. So hopefully I'll be able to answer your question. If you have a question, I do have a little thing on the bottom that tells you what to do in terms of questions. Question mark will get you a question, and then if you want a question answered right away, super chat will be the way to do that. And then that is not required, of course, but that will help out the channel if you do that as well. What rock bottom price does the S90C65 get to? The Wild Guys asks. So this is a good question. Judging by like where the S90C 65-inch will get to at $12.99. I think the S95B was around $12.99. I saw a C2 65-inch around $12.99. I typically like to base my guesses off of history. So any guess that I have for price is always relative of history because it typically does have the same repeating track record over and over. We'll see patterns. And the S90C 65-inch, the rock bottom price, the closeout price could be about $12.99 is where I'm expecting it to be. So if you're absolutely just waiting for that rock bottom price, you could expect around $12.99. Now, will it go to that? I don't know. It's no guarantee, but I wouldn't be shocked. I would bet on it even. $12.99. $5,000 TV has the same hardware QC as a $500 Walmart special. I don't agree with that. I highly doubt that's the case. We're talking about no, there's no way. There's no way. I bet you if somebody bought like let's say you had 1,000 samples of that $500 Walmart TV and then you had 5,000 or you said the same amount of samples, like 1,000 samples of the $5,000 TV. I guarantee you that $500 TV would have way more failures. There's no way. There's just no way. That would mean you don't have any trust in like any of the components that you're buying from any of the expensive TV. Like if you believe that, I wouldn't even buy an expensive TV in that regard because that's scary to think about. And I know you've had some problems with your TVs, and that's unfortunate. But I really don't. I doubt that's like this statement right here. I doubt that's got to be anywhere near true. But that would be like a really good video to kind of dive into that. If there's any way we can look at history or evidence of this, it would be nice to like dive into that because that's a scary thought. You know me, I'm in the belief that like they do cut corners when they can. That's why we're seeing cheaper TV prices than ever. But it also has a lot to do with ads. We're gonna get into the ads thing in a little bit because that's definitely a discussion we gotta have. How good exactly is Samsung and LG upscaling in comparison to Sony's? It's good. Like they have good upscaling. They both have good upscaling. I think LG and Samsung, they both upscale different ways. With Samsung, you can get upscaling to be a little bit on the smudgy side, depending on what you're upscaling with them. LG does a good job of the content that you're pushing into it, cleaning it up a little bit, but keeping it what you would hope it would have looked like before it got upscaled. So it's more true to like what the actual content looks like. And then Sony does more processing in terms of active processing. They're not afraid to use extra things. You always have reality creation running in the background, which is not necessarily upscaling, but it is part of the upscaling tools that you got at your disposal. You can use it as an upscaling tool. It's not necessarily upscaling directly. So I don't think Samsung or LG gets to that level. And yes, I've tried the sharpness trick with the Samsung. It's not replicating reality creation for me. I've tried the LG super scale thing, right? Super resolution. I've tried that. It's not near Sony's reality creation. So I don't think like if you're talking about tools, they have anything close to it. And in terms of just the pure upscaling process, Sony does typically seem to have a better job of cleaning it up. For example, like if I feed the Nintendo Switch to a TV. Say I feed it to the LG, I feed it to a Samsung, and then I feed it to a Sony. I think that the Sony cleans it up much better. I see text for the 1080p be a lot clearer, more something I can actually read. So it's not as good in that regard, but it's not terrible. You know, just because something is better doesn't mean that the other thing is terrible. Let's see. That's a good question. What are your current top 3 mini LED recommendations in 85-inch size for a bright room, gaming, and lots of movies and shows? So I really think that the U8K for gaming is absolutely great TV. Surprised me at how good this TV was. So the 85-inch U8K, really great. The QM8, I didn't get a chance to game on this one, so I can't talk about gaming in that regard. The Sony, it's pretty good for gaming, but again, I've only tried it a little bit with gaming on it. And I didn't get a chance to go 85-inch with the X95 or with the X90L gaming. Um, the X95L, I hear very much like crazy good things about the X95L. So if you have the ability to stretch to the X95L and you need a TV now, that's kind of the route that I would think I would go if you have the money to do that. If you don't, um, I like the X90L. It's not mini LED, but it is still capable and it looks very comparable to a lot of the mini LED TVs out there. I would say the Hisense and TCL, they definitely are closer in contrast to say the QN90C, which I didn't mention yet. I will mention the QN90C because that is probably the best looking contrast wise of all the TVs. So if you want the closest thing to like OLED blacks that you can get with mini LED, it's definitely the QN90C. I love that TV a lot. I think I would probably lean towards, if that's not on sale, towards the same level. I like the X90L a lot for movies, TV shows. But you mentioned gaming, so I do like the U8K. I think the value there is nice. So, but we're talking mini LEDs here, so you have to wait, wait and see for Sony. I think you really, if you're in the mini LED only category, you should wait. You should wait to see what this Sony is gonna be. If this prototype ends up coming out this year, you're gonna be glad you waited. I don't know how much it's gonna cost though. That's the only thing. If you are limited in your budget, then waiting for that Sony probably won't even like work out for you. So I would say if you're looking at the X90L, the U8K, the QM8, choosing between those three, and then if you could even stretch it a little bit further to the QN90C, that's great as well. With content streaming probably not getting much better in the next couple of years, assumption. If you're talking about the bit rate that we're going to see, I think the bit rate might improve. I think as we get better internet, we might see higher bit rates. I know that YouTube TV was working on their algorithms for higher bit rates, and they're absolutely phenomenal. Like I think that they did a lot with YouTube TV where I just love the quality that's coming out of YouTube TV no matter what TV I'm watching it on most of the time. But like for example though, like if you watch YouTube TV on any TV right now, as long as you're not getting the low bit rate version, you're gonna have a good experience. So like if streaming gets close to where Bravia Core is, where you get like the 80 megabits per second, that would be really awesome. I don't think we're gonna see it to that level because there's so much traffic and things are just clogged up all the time. It's possible though. I don't want to rule out content and streaming getting better. Content though, yeah, content definitely needs to get better on streaming services. I do feel like I don't know if it's like things feeling watered down, running out of ideas. There's definitely content like downgrade in terms of quality. It just feels worse. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old. I'm not even sure. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Is content getting worse in that regard, like in terms of quality? I think the visuals and the HDR and the way that they grade these shows and movies are absolutely a treat to your eyes to watch. But in terms of scripts and like filmmaking, it seems to get worse. Um, but again, I could just be getting old. Let's see. Second part of this question: which QD OLED would you say is the brand model higher? So, like, which would be good? If you're talking about like, so just to make sure I put all of your question together, if you're talking about how this all connects, Sony is going to be your best bet because they just have the best image processing. And when you have the best image processor, they'll be able to clean that stuff up a lot better. XR Clear, for example, no matter if you feed it 1080p, 4K, 720p, and then, or if you're watching 4K and it all of a sudden it gets downgraded to 1080p, no worries because you have something like that in place with Sony. So I think typically if you're worried about streaming quality, Sony is always a good bet there. But that's not to say that Samsung and LG are bad in that department. They're just not as good as Sony in that regard. So I think the A95L is just a great TV. But if you can't get to the A95L, the only other choice is, well, in the US, I believe the only other choice is Samsung. So, and we got Getty G Man with a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. He says, blue phosphorus, is it the next step for OLED brightness? Can you call it the new innovation, or will TVs plateau from there as far as future tech? There's a lot on the horizon in terms of future tech, and we're gonna get brighter TVs for sure. Next year, we're gonna see brighter TVs. As far as the blue phosphorus, I think it's just too early to say. We don't know enough about it. Everything I would say about it would be purely speculation. It's tough because we were at the point where it was all about QNED, right? Not QNED, not the fake stuff that LG put out with the weird branding and this confusion. But we were hearing about QNED a lot, right? And then it's all about the self-emissive quantum dots for people now. Things are going to change throughout the years. We're going to get better technology, especially better than QD OLED. It's just going to keep getting better and better. I don't think there's a limit to TV technology right now. I don't see like there's a hard cap on TV technology. So if you're waiting for the next best thing, there's always the next best thing around the corner. So if you need a TV now, you buy a TV now, is the stance that I have on that. But if you're waiting for the next best thing, you might keep waiting because by the time the next best thing comes out, then you're hearing about the next tech that's around the corner. And like we were already hearing 3000 nit capable OLEDs this year. Doesn't mean that they're going to get the 3000 nits now. Come on. But we're already hearing 4000 nits next year. So it's just going to keep growing in that department. As far as the blue phosphorus, that's more of a 2025 and later thing. I don't see it coming beyond, or maybe even 2026. Honestly, it has to probably be 2026 and later because I haven't heard of anything coming next year for blue phosphorus. But thank you for that question. All right, so are we caught up with the questions? No. Where was I? If I missed your question, I do apologize. I just got to scroll up in chat a little bit here. Appreciate everybody in chat asking questions, keeping this thing going. Okay, here we go. We're back on track. We're almost caught up in questions. We've been going for about an hour now. Ooh, hour and 10 minutes. All right. We're caught up with chat. We're caught up with super chat. All right, now let's discuss something that I want to discuss before we do sign off, and that is the Vizio potentially getting bought by Walmart. What that means, right? Like Walmart is potentially going to buy Vizio. That's interesting. Um, so what do you guys think of that? Do you think that's going to do anything at all, like for Vizio in regards to the quality? Probably not, right? Like I think the main reason why they're doing this is because of the ads. The ad platform that Vizio has is a lot of people envy it. They do a really good job with that in terms of not for the consumer, for the seller, for the people that are providing the ads. This platform does really well. And so Walmart wants to buy it. And they're thinking about putting ads on the Vizio TVs in the stores as well. So that's going to be something they do. Um, I don't see them doing anything quality wise, but they do want to compete with Roku. And if they want to compete with Roku, then they don't have to do much more. But the Roku quality, like the Roku actually like TVs in that price range are actually not bad deals. They're actually not bad deals. So that's probably the space they'll stay in. I don't ever see them dipping their toe back into the semi mid range level. I really don't. I don't think they're ever gonna push anything. Um, as I've been saying for a while, Vizio is gonna become the next Walmart Emerson special. You were saying this, and it's like interesting because it's like that might happen, or they might actually like try to push it as their premium brand because Walmart does have a lot of money to pour into this stuff, so it'll be interesting. Like I don't know, I'm not a fan of Vizio. I used to be a fan of Vizio, but they just seem to not care anymore. Um, they just seem to not care. Vizio stocks went down sharply. I don't. What is their stock price even out? Like, what would it be at? I guess maybe if you believe in their ad platform, you would think that would make it go up. I don't know. P Quantum X was great. Was great. 3,000 nits of brightness. It was a bright TV. Like it wasn't like an amazing movie watching TV. Definitely was was impactful though. At the time, there wasn't much like it for the price. It did have its issues. It had a lot of motion issues. It had a lot of backlight issues. Let's not get into their OLED because that had so many issues. Yeah. But OLED, they tried OLED and it was a buggy mess. It really was. When I worked at Best Buy, the amount of OLED returns, sorry, not OLED, the amount of QLED returns that we got from Vizio was ridiculous. So I couldn't even imagine the amount of OLED returns. I heard it was bad, but I did not work there at the time. But when we had the P Quantum X, that is the one that did get a lot of returns. Yes, it was a beautiful TV, but my goodness. Vizio QD OLED? You serious? That would be crazy. I would love that. Come on, Walmart. Walmart, I can't talk bad about Walmart because they do own the Broncos now. Like the Walton Penner Group is the owners of the Broncos. So like I can't talk bad about Walmart. So I really hope they do something good. All right. I refuse to talk bad about Walmart. I don't know. So yeah, I don't even like Walmart, but they did buy the Broncos. So I gotta say, good job. Spend some money on a really great quarterback, and let's get back to the promised lands. Um, let's see. 100-inch Vizio for a $500. Sign me up. It'd be interesting. Do they get into the 100-inch market? I don't know. I think that Walmart's not going to sell 100-inch TVs. They might though. All right, so next week we'll be back. I'm gonna try to get a guest on maybe, so stay tuned for that. Um, so there should be a stream next week. If not, then I'll see you guys the week after that. Thanks, and let me know in the comments how the stream quality is when you watch it backwards. If you are gonna check out the parts you missed or something, let me know how it all played out. Because we want to make sure this is good for the future. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.